cabinet people, they have supported and spread white supremacist views in the past. So it's just a really scary time. And like I said, how I started this is, when is enough enough? I think my thought is, as a president, as a leader, when are we gonna get rid of this president so that we can start like moving this country in a different direction? And I think it starts there.
No doubt. Yeah. Pooh, what were your thoughts?
I'm in total agreement with all of you guys' points, and what Al said to me, it really struck a chord in me. I mean, once he said that, he mentioned that they're basically domestic terrorists, and when you said that, it actually sent this chill throughout my body, and they should be viewed as such. If it was, like you said, the ISIS or whomever else, or McVeigh or whoever it has been, the drugs, or the United States actually just waged a war against them, and I think that this matter should be handled accordingly, or as such, because they are domestic terrorists. They're gonna just rip America to shreds, and that's my view on it. And on the other end of the spectrum, that's what America is. That's what it is built upon. That's been America since day one, and it's totally sad. And we haven't. It seems like we've taken 3 steps forward, and in that same mantra, we've taken 5 steps back. It's just mind-boggling, man. It really is. It's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, and what gets me is, like, to relate it, like, we've been talking a lot about Colin Kaepernick and that whole situation, and other players, the Malcolm Jenkins, the Michael Bennett's, the Martellus Bennett's, so all those, Beast Mode, all those guys who are carrying on. They've kind of picked up the torch. So to relate it to football, I think what's happening and what this event has done in the wake of the NFL kind of shunning Colin Kaepernick, and not kind of, they absolutely have shunned him. I think it's going to turn that rhetoric from who else is going to stand with Colin Kaepernick, and it's going to shift that narrative to who can't now stand with Colin Kaepernick, because now events like this, this is what he was protesting for. And moving forward, I don't think there's any way that you can deny the reason that he was protesting, whether it hit home with a lot of people or not, or whether you think he did it right or wrong. The fact is that these things go on, and it's in our faces. And so now I'm wondering if those same groups of people who are saying you're not protesting the right way, you're not doing it the right way, you're not doing it at the right time, like, are those people still going to be able to say that now that events like this are still happening in this day and age, and you can't hide them any longer?
No.
And that's the scary part is, you might be right. Yeah, I was just about to ask you that, but yeah. Do you think that the narrative around NFL players or others in other sports, but particularly in the NFL, players protesting, do you think the perspective, like how the majority of people view them, does it change soon?
I know, like Ray Lewis would say, what about Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's black people killing black people. Like, whenever we talk about one thing, they just switch it to something else, like a whole nother subject.
Exactly. And it reduces us to children, because you're absolutely right. It goes into like, well, he did it first.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel you.
Yeah. So it's that's something else. But it's like it's complicated. It's a complicated. But maybe it ain't that complicated. No, it's not complicated. It's not complicated. It is what it is. It's like what I was saying about what if this were ISIS? You know what I mean? It's not ISIS. It's white people that. This goes back to the forming of this country, the way a white group wanted to tear the country apart, fighting against another white group. One white group defeated the other white group, and they pretty much forgave them. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, we beat y'all, so now y'all go. In the United States, y'all can do whatever y'all want, but y'all got us. Y'all just can't leave. So they say, okay, and it's been held for black people ever since. You know what I mean? So they look at what happened in Charlottesville. They might go, oh, that's bad, but they're not going to do anything really. It's not going to be any real repercussions for it. I don't know that we should expect repercussions. I think we just need to maybe I'll side with, I ain't want to quote this cat Lewis, but anyway, just maybe we do need to better ourselves, because we can't expect them to do anything for us, because they've shown that they're not. Mm-hmm. Even the good white folks, they're not going to do anything. They're going to be compassionate towards the alt-right, or they won't be as hard on them as they would be on Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? I was, man, so much happened this week. I was looking at it was a bunch of white guys standing in front of police, and the white guys were spraying the cops with like some kind of confetti type of like glue type of stuff, and the cops were just standing there, and of course you flash back to Ferguson, and the police were just like beating the hell out of people. Like the reaction is just so much different when it's black people as opposed to white people. Like this country's messed up, man. Mm-hmm. It's messed up.
Yeah, and that's what I was guy I work with was we had a really good discussion about it, white guy. And I cringe when white people say this is, well, if people got such a problem with America, why don't they go somewhere else? And for me that's such a shallow compliment, shallow comment. Because to me that's like I don't like my wife all the time. She ain't perfect. Sure, she don't. I'm not perfect. But like I wouldn't like, just because I don't think America's perfect doesn't mean that I should go somewhere else. You get what I'm saying? Like just because of your marriage ain't perfect don't mean that every day you wake up and you leave. You get what I'm saying? So just because something's not perfect doesn't mean you don't stick around and try to improve it.
And also, can I throw in true love is criticizing. Like it's being critical of something. Absolutely. If you can't criticize, that's not really love. You know what I mean? That's exactly. Like you love the country, but you can't criticize it.
Exactly.
I mean, for me, that's like someone telling me if I don't like, something that's going on in my house, leave. I look at this country as much as mine as anybody else who's in the country. And so my expectations are of equality and equity. Like that's just where I come from it, because I feel like me and every other American has just as much of right to enjoy what America is supposed to be about. Yes. So that's just where I'm with it. And that's where I come from. And I, in terms of the league, I hope more professional athletes in general, entertainers in general, offer protests in some form or fashion to raise awareness of these issues. And because I think the more awareness could create empathy. And that's what I think has to happen. That's what happened in the civil rights movement as people witness what happened. I think to get people to change their values and their opinions, they have to be willing to empathize. And I don't think enough white people today empathize with our issues for whatever reason. Don't.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that white people are comfortable in America, and like seeing athletes and black people in general stand up and not take it any longer, and make them uncomfortable. It's a shift, and I get it. That's human nature. When you get uncomfortable, you do things that take you out of character. And I think a lot of this is white people being uncomfortable, and a lot of that has to do with us making them uncomfortable, which is necessary to make change. And I say this all the time: is I dare anyone to name me any point in this country's history where significant change has been made without major shakeups, without people being uncomfortable, without violence, without people pushing back. Nothing has ever been changed in this country by people being comfortable. And the fact that now a lot of white people are uncomfortable, I think the process may be ugly, but it may lead to better things, because we are now seeing what happens when a group of people that have been so comfortable and so accustomed to being catered to, even when they don't realize they're being catered to, when things start being shaken up, they are panicking. And they don't know how to react.
I wouldn't be that dude, OG, that I am, if I didn't have an able to test your theory. I wouldn't be that. So when you look at what you just said in terms of uncomfortableness and people pushing back, think about what happened with the gay issues in our country. Like, I can't think of a lot of examples to what you're talking about, but there still was a shift in public policy on their behalf to further their agenda. So I know there's an exception for every rule, but I don't think that's absolute, is my point.
I don't get what you're saying, Al. Like, I told him, totally lost.
So what Jay was saying is, and help me if I'm wrong, right? But what I heard was, in our history in this country, to get change, people have to be uncomfortable and there has to be some pushback.
Okay.
Without that pushback, like, making people uncomfortable, the change doesn't occur.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know if that's the case with the changes in our country that have occurred in the last 5-10 years in terms of some of the issues. Let's just talk about gay marriage.
Yeah, well, and that's what. So like, I think those
Where's
examples are that, like.
Yeah, I think
whether you see,
the protesting, bro.
Yeah, protesting.
Like,
and not just the protesting, but even if you look at media, when you look at people get. My father got uncomfortable as hell the first time he saw two men kiss on TV. But those things make people uncomfortable. And like for gay people being bold enough to hold hands in the street, and to actually have relationships, to start adopting kids as couples even before they were allowed to get married. Those things make people uncomfortable. So not necessarily violence, but yeah, I do think they have their own ways of making people uncomfortable.
I was in a whole nother direction then. Now, when you say uncomfortable, I inserted other words in my head, and I was agreeing, but I'm pushing it more like I'm gonna be more direct in saying not even uncomfortable, or not even. I'm saying, like, black people have not gotten anything in this country without fighting for it.
Yeah,
I'm talking.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm more direct, not just uncomfortable. I'm talking about like straight fighting for it, straight up getting the dog sicked on us. Like, we fighting. No progress has ever happened from war, slavery, to Jim Crow, to anything in this country we've ever gotten. Any progress we've ever made that we didn't get without, like, lawsuits or just fighting, protesting.
Yeah, I meant all of that. Yeah, I meant all encompassing. Anything that makes people, and I think black people have gotten accustomed to being uncomfortable in this country. And as much as I love my life, and as much as I'm thankful for the rights and the freedom that I have, there are you know, I don't have to go back far